Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a little while since I've done a video. This is actually a continuation of a project I was working on earlier in the year. It's called Havenshald. If you recall, and you probably don't because it's been a minute, basically I'm working on a massive medieval city nestled in the like a natural depression surrounded by mountains. Video one, I kind of just worked on a double gatehouse kind of a thing with some government buildings in between. And now today we're starting on the the rich, wealthy area of the city. This is the uppermost part of the city, closest to the gatehouse, therefore closest to the castle. So these first few buildings are going to be not residences. This one is a shop, and the next one's also going to be a shop. Uh, yeah, I did this very free form kind of. You can see I plan stuff out, uh, but I don't hold to a lot of those plans. You'll see here with the second building when I get started about that. I decided not to build this build twice like I did with some of my conquest videos. This whole thing is literally kind of watching my design process live. Well, obviously this is a video of that, but you can see kind of how I'm thinking. So there's a lot of changing, rearranging, moving. You'll see me placing a lot of decoration blocks and going, no, never mind. Or in the case of this second shop here, I completely get rid of the original footprint that I had. This one takes me actually kind of a bit to settle on what I want. And you see, I keep moving the second build or the third building off to the side. I finally settle on the general footprint I want. It was going to be more complicated than it is now, but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized, with how cramped these quarters are, you don't really benefit from the crazier diagonal shape like I originally thought it would. You can see here I'm also trying to mess with roof heights. I really wanted this to be a two-story, but I knew I didn't want a super steep roof. I decided to add these dormers in. I thought it helped kind of obfuscate the awkwardness of that roof design. I tried a shallower roof, and I just didn't like how it looked. So we went with the kind of more typical tall gabled roof build here. I do try very hard to kind of change up the roof shapes and roof heights, so it's not just a sea of the same kind of roof. But I think the fact that both of these houses have a short angle roof or shallow angle roof and a steeper angled roof kind of gives them kind of a unique look. And then here we are, we're starting on this third building. I keep moving it a little bit further back because I wanted to have a walkway. I don't capture it on video, but I do put a back alley behind all of these buildings. And this is a inn that I end up building. And you'll see I do a lot of just testing as I'm building this. So that window, I completely undid it. And when I get to the section above it, I go through a few revisions of what I want with the design and the detailing. One thing I really like about the inn, and you'll see it as it keeps going, is it's a mixture of stone and wood everywhere on every level. I very commonly will do like a stone, bottom level, and then wood or something like that second level. But this one is wood and stone all the way through the first level, and then the second level gets just pretty much all wood, obviously. You'll see I'm using a lot of world edit on the ground in large spots. I came up with the general texture for the ground, and then I hand placed dirt blocks that I then put a stone pressure plate on. And here, you can see me like just waffling and struggling to figure out the design. I finally settle on this, and I think it looks pretty cool. I don't think I end up showing it off during the decorating of this, but I do go back and add like vines and plants on the buildings. I really like that look, especially in like the vanilla Minecraft. In Conquest, I find myself doing that a little bit less, but I actually think I want to try to do it more because I love the vibe. It makes the building feel a little bit older, more lived in. I use this stone tower as a like stairwell to get from the first to the second and third floors. I started off with a different design for this side. I think I start working on it in a second once I'm done with the tower maybe. Um, but you will see a little bit later, I just use world edit and just copy and paste the other large flat wall side over to here because I really like that design. Yep, there you go. With this build, because it's so large, I really wanted to focus pretty heavily on like lots of depth. So there's lots of layers on the walls, in the walls, with the windows and some of the detailings on the ground. And I know this is no mega build. I do like to build roughly in the scale of you as the player. So if someone's exploring this map, everything feels appropriately scaled to them. Gotta add a chimney. Again, using world edit a lot to help texture stuff. I like to use world edit a little bit more sparingly than other builders. It is part of my workflow, but there's something kind of nice about actually building and then just using the world edit to do like more menial tasks. Oh look, I did add the vegetation there. I'm still using this old wall design. I mentioned it in the first episode, but that was a while ago. But I do settle on a different wall design later on, and I copy it across everywhere that I already had placed walls. So for now, this is what you're gonna get, but I did fix that later. And this little raised area is one of the wealthier parts of the whole city. I think it only ends up being like 4 or 5 buildings, but they are some of the wealthiest people in the city. This building here is kind of interesting because I did a lower first floor, like shorter, compared to what I mostly do for buildings. The roof here is at the fourth block. I normally do 5 or 6 blocks for a kind of standard sized building. What is cool though is the upper floors are actually have a taller roof or taller ceiling than the first floor does. Kind of interesting. Or if you're English, I guess the first floor is actually what I would call the second floor, but whatever. I also try very hard, you'll see here, to not have two houses with similar building materials. That includes the logs. I like having different logs kind of mixed around, different base materials, different upper level materials. And then of course, I do occasionally like to mix materials for levels. So here you'll see got wood for like the central part, and then everything else is stone on the first floor. This house actually ended up having a really cool footprint. I really enjoy how one section's curved, and then the other section has like the walls that get a little bit narrower, with the middle section raised above everything else. Makes for an interesting roof design too. Here I tried to do kind of like a bell-shaped roof. I do use this elsewhere, I think later on, but this was the first house in this city that had that kind of more unique roof. I do love putting lights everywhere on these builds. That's something I kind of got from Bluenerd, who is a big inspiration for me when it comes to vanilla Minecraft building. Also, fun fact, this might be the only house I can think of so far in this video that has a true, like, backyard area. And as we rotate around here, we're starting to work on the largest house in this little wealthy district. This is one of those, like, you climb a few stairs up, and because of that I took advantage of the extra space in this base area. So I added these really cool, like, viewing bars to look down into the underground basement area. I also use this really dark color to make it stand out from everything around it. Everything is like white and yellow and creams, and this really dark, I want to say it's like black wool and like dark terracotta. It's that kind of stuff. I'll have to go back and look, but it really is strikingly different from everything else. I, of course, do still put some lighter stuff for the contrast. Also, this roof was kind of a beast. It's really big, and I didn't want it to look overly tall, but it still ends up being quite big. I used a bunch of like the prismarine style blocks to give it the kind of greeny kind of coloration. Right now it's all dark prismarine, but it does get replaced with World Edit to be a mixture of several different kind of greenish blocks. see, there we go. Then the final building for this video is one of those like transition pieces. It separates this little upper wealthy area with the lower wealthy area. It's a tower with a building and a little arch pathway over the top, connecting the two together. Something you see here that I'm doing is I'm doing this porch patio kind of a thing at the front of this building. One way I like to create lots of variation in housing is like even if you've got similar heights of buildings, making some roofs not as drastic as others and having some houses just be 1 block up or 1 block, off the ground or 2 blocks off the ground, even if it's the same height as the building next to it, it automatically feels like a different height between just being off the ground or maybe having a slightly shorter or taller roof. It's a good way to get a lot of variation without having to worry too much about like, well, should I do this one 7 blocks tall and this next one 10 blocks tall, or, especially for me, because again, I like to keep the scale reasonable to the size of the player character. See here too, like I really enjoy mixing different roof shapes together. So you've got 2 of the pointier roofs and then 1 rounder roof and then even smaller rounder roof on the little walkway. You can also see I tried to do a really fancy tower roof and did not like it at all, so changed it pretty quickly into it. And we're actually approaching the end of the time-lapse portion. As we head into the cinematics coming up, where I do the slow cinematic overview of everything. Just thanks for coming in and checking it out. Sorry for the long gap. I have a decent backlog now to start actually making videos with, which is going to be super cool. I've got a lot to show off for Havenshald. I'm really excited about the project, and I do hope to actually finish it. So yeah, but also please comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I hate asking for it, but it does help the channel, helps me grow, helps other people see what I think is a pretty interesting build so far. So yeah, thanks again for stopping by.